Lamdon sos pe laksam sang polas Yonta lamgi dolme baryole Lamdon sos pe laksam sang polas Yonta lamgi dolme baryole Baldan atishai sungzap moi Sandu mos pe lokta chans yole Shai sungzamui Tandu muspelota chazyole Zigsan le dewala aha ilota aha skipala ngai lamdon lota aha skipala ngai lamdon lota
To all my Dharma brothers and sisters, young and old, male and female, without discrimination, to all of you who have worked together, particularly for the Buddha Dharma. So you are appreciative of it and faithful to this Dharma. So whenever I visit Ladakh, I see all of your wholehearted devotion to me. So I'd like to thank you, everyone. Geshe Tsongkhapa has said, where the Dharma has not spread before, and where it has spread but declined, may I, moved by compassion, illuminate this treasure of good and happiness. So, today in this world, there are many places, even countries, where Buddhism had not spread before. In those places there are a newfound interest in the teaching of the Buddha, and even also amongst the scientists, people are taking interest in the teaching of the Buddha, paying attention to it. So those are places where Buddha Dhamma had not spread previously, but today, and also as the second line says, in the lands where it has spread but declined, today there are people who have, of course, found that mere material development does not give peace of mind, and therefore people have taken interest in the teaching of the Buddha, like in India and other places as well. In my own life, during this life, I have been through lots of ups and downs, many different obstacles and different difficulties. So, throughout this time, I've never felt demoralized, and also not becoming angry at those who cause harm to us. So now I'm almost 90 years old. Up to now, the teaching of the Buddha really has helped me to keep up with to not lose my heart, but in fact feel determined to work for the benefit of all sentient beings, as the prayer says, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So I never feel discouraged and also slackened in my effort to work for the benefit of sentient beings. So not only has the teaching of the Buddha helped me keep my peace of mind, but also feel determined to work for other beings as well.
seminar tene senchu suma tapo kejas pokertena in number sangete sumbijate no somba number sangete sumbikertena tene janme tonta chocha sepia so teoda no temata tebu soada nam sapa I jikte bina tene semchan lose tene sapa teo sokse semchan gune tonta chocha sepia teone janto chocha sepia tuksen tarumana shuk che shoda nigde tene traga shoda ra so ara hal jum majumsa somba nampe cho sekertena janto so luchate teo sokse hapcha sala tevija te sema jideta te do gyomano
So the people in this land, Ladakh, are wholeheartedly devoted to or appreciative of the teaching of the Buddha. So Ladakh and the other Himalayan belt region, people of this Himalayan belt, the greater the obstacles they face, their courage increases. So, for example, Tibetans inside Tibet, Communist China sees the Dharma as poison and try to manipulate people through all kinds of means to destroy their faith in the teaching of the Buddha and so forth. But the people of Tibet, inside Tibet, with their devotion and respect to the teaching of the Buddha, have never let these circumstances overtake them, but their determination to keep up with the teaching of the Buddha has become stronger. So in the Himalayan belt, from Ladakh in the west to the east, the Mun, Tawang or Arunachal in the east, people are single-pointedly devoted to the teaching of the Buddha, and I have faith in the teaching of the Buddha. You have never changed your traditional faith in the teaching of the Buddha. So I have met university students, Tibetan university students from Tibet, who have told me that the Tibetan peoples, when they actually taste and experience the teaching of the Buddha, they are not the Chinese, communist Chinese, are unable to alter our mind. And then there are Chinese who also take interest in the teaching of the Buddha that is spread in Tibet as well. In today's time, people taking scientists who are interested in psychology and the workings of mind and emotions. So such scientists, there are many who come to see me. So they do not come to pray in religious terms, but because the teachings of our religion teach us the methods for bringing about peace of mind, and therefore they appreciate such teachings. They are not so much for making prayers out of faith. In the Himalayan region, Buddhism in general, and particularly the Buddhism that has spread, the Nalanda tradition which has spread in Tibet, in other words, which combines the teaching, which combines the three trainings of morality, concentration and insight. In other words, combining shamatha and vipassana, so which is not only about making prayers, but actually using the teaching to make transformation within through reason and logic. So we have such a teaching, and individually I, on a daily basis, reflect on bodhicitta, the altruistic spirit of enlightenment, and the view of emptiness. So they are very helpful to keep my peace of mind. So this Nalanda monastic university tradition of India that has spread in Tibet with the help of Master Chandarakshita, the great abbot. And so this tradition so Chandarakshita has advised the Tibetans at that time in the 8th century that you have a very good basis of language, and you have your own language, and therefore it would be good to translate the teaching of the Buddha contained in the Sanskrit and the Pali traditions. And therefore, today we have, following his advice, Tibetans started translating the different Buddhist literature into Tibetan, and therefore we have many different texts, scriptures containing the teaching of the Buddha. And we do study the teaching of the Buddha by combining the tradition or the philosophical tradition of Madhyamaka, the middle way tradition, philosophy, through logic. And therefore, in my own experience, I find this tradition where we use logic and reason to find the truth of the teaching and reality of things. So you can really have a very broad perspective of things. And not only keeping faith alone, but using reason to understand the teaching of the Buddha is a very good tradition that we have. So this Tibetan Buddhist tradition emphasizing logic to gain certitude or certainty in the truth of the teaching of the Buddha is a great tradition. So I would like to appeal to my brothers, Dhamma brothers and sisters, that you should not merely say, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, but this Nalanda tradition that we have, which combine logic, the tradition of logic and Madhyamaka philosophy. So you should pursue the study of such a tradition. Even if you may not be a believer in a religion, but you can still study Buddhist Madhyamaka philosophy and use logic. So even though you may not have any belief in past and future lives, just for this life alone, you will see a great impact on your mind from this tradition to keep peace of mind. So today we are talking about secular ethics as well. So if you can use this Madhyamaka philosophy and logic and epistemology, the tradition that we have, it'll help to keep your peace of mind and also to develop compassion and love towards others.
Then seminar, Yura lecture, seminar, Jingle lecture, the Tama, Yara, then Yote, also on so Dasamata, Kola, Tati, Kani, Chosu, Chetana, Nada, you give an Kanji, Kabu Chetana, Kanji, Pata, then Rigla, psychology, logic is then extend table, then structure. Samsung Yanjati, Tapasam Mespa, Mospasam Mespa, Mospanato Tanuki Gute do something, Patasur Yanjati, Chutu Ketena, Tela Hojutana, Lectoba also, Tebu Ketena, Sola, Kemanin Kajina, Napeto la Maten Kajina, Table Janam Yampo, O Ina Ituxidu, Semajura Yanjati, Tachi Ijuti, Standu, the Canetene, Shetato Matena, Septu Jala Yoten also. Sobasanara, Sangyas Kona, Jate, started from Jovasano, Rilama Jagosano, then a Jura Sanjate, Hatchet, Jovasano, they were Sute, they were the Nalan, the Shejutina, Yoteno, the secular, it took the country, Skudu de Teo, Zate, Japa, they were getting a Rilame Tokna. So the Tatayo Nam, Men, Rilame Tokna, Seminata, then is Chota Samukadu, Juja. Yugoto, Kabiketena, Kadu Panto to Sakane, the Samsur Buketena, Reglametona, secular to Zatio, Tebuketena, Reglametona, Janyancha Teno, Tene Nampesona, Tapachona, Sama, secular ethic, the Kano, Yoteno, the Reglametona, Logica, Tenestente, Teneshancha, Tashi, Yute,
The communist China, the political leaders like Mao Zedong was not only a political leader but also a philosopher. I have met him a few times while I was in Beijing. So on the last day of my stay in Beijing, Mao Zedong had said that he wanted to meet me and had sent message. And so I met him and he was very happy. He held my hand and advised me how to lead people in Tibet. And so he told me that you should make the decision yourself. And then in the end, he told me that you have a very scientific mind. And the blind faith of religion is a poison. So I didn't respond to him right away for saying that. But I feel that today, if he were alive, he may have become a Buddhist practitioner because he is quite a rational person. And therefore, if he could use logic and also understand the Madhyamaka philosophy, so from the philosophical perspective, he may be intrigued to take interest in the teaching of the Buddha.
And Mao Zedong too as good as Yanko, Mao Zedong is Skudu, Chava, Zoom, the Chava, Tenebella Patante, Skudula, Jura, on Mao Sana, Porla Ketena, Kalushi, Tene, Wang Jochayin, Tukuran, Sema Borgo Sano, Ma Jala Tene, Skumcha Tene, Sano Turbo Sano, Tama Bola Quete, Jura, so on, Ma, Sandik Mambo Jankani Michigan. No. Chose de temps qui était là, mon stade et non, qui était là, tout sauf et non, c'était ce que nous avons joué. In ascolto di la cattura tene lanza la mandate sola Kate dasa tosi tene kate mao se tu tene dutte yo nabyo tena ko che tena ma science jala yo kanji samlo sam chuka di jute yo cha to yo dana nya po funde de to ko la tyo mo kara mara tene dhamma sam uma iska tene lungde la tene kwa te samlo ko shara nya po ko nya po kwa tyo ha ko chano tyo ha gwa nya po pace ko dasa sonte yotina ko chetena nape cho ko chetena devara logic jo kanji samlo samji yo kanji kedu sikna samji gyute yo kanji jate kora tene nape tene ta du ba chetena tata yo kanji ha ko kanji gyute yo do so
So these were just a few things that I wanted to speak on the side. So one day when I was in Beijing, the weather was bad and there were thunderstorms. And the late Penchen Rinpoche had said that, oh, there is a dragon making noise. And I said, in response to that, I said that there is no such thing as dragon, an animal called dragon that makes a noise in the sky, but it was because of the interaction between the different positive and negative electrical elements that makes sound, and therefore we have this thunderstorm. So some of the Chinese officials who were nearby were quite surprised by my answer or my statement. So of course, peace of mind cannot be brought about through force. But it has, if you have peace, if you have a compassionate and loving state of mind, then the communism can actually help the poor and the needy ones, as it is the aim of socialism to help the downtrodden ones. So I feel that today, if Mao Zedong were alive, he might be have become a Buddhist. So the teaching that we have is very profound. In practical terms, we are not thinking of with the selfish motive to benefit oneself alone. So if today Mao Zedong were alive, he may say that what Buddhism is talking about, benefiting and serving others, the society as a whole and other sentient beings, is something true.
Scarpo tele siri namate scarpo yonte no te sconde di soma nyampo te dulla yo kare tele javis kondo gune kondo la ma chante te no da da kondo ni tu sapo che te na denba na science ya do jute do de scientific sapsul na de jute do de kondo la te o jo da ta kondo ni tene te bo tu sapo che te na science na te tu sam sa kar bijate tene kate mao se tu kate luste pena dasa tene ko namba ji santa jute do Tenis community samsudo na tasul bocher tena tezushi jasona mi nyalba changundam tene chupon chetena nyom te nyalba changuna tene danda chosa te tezui samuche kure chapa so tevo chetena one tang ste to chonya chane chaso jami chetena samsul bo chetena one cho te tevula tene danda chon samkane samsul yotyapa tevo yunya kaso no so kalte semina chanpa derkanda janpa derkanda tene samsul ko kalte yodna tevisha te chetena mima ulpo nyalba changu tene skito yokta sam teo sofe tene tapse zabu jigyu te chasa tene mhala juskan nanjin la tene nampe chos tena te ruke tena tene nam sapa tene sensa tham jati samdo kurte jarpani samasya gose sokha sancha tena kap baba da pangata jikte na yotkani mima kunena tene mata ingje kurte janpani sambabu yongmusa kapten teno kalte teu yorna dembara tene jite sam semas keto dam teu yongyancha yocha kalte ma ketu rute yorna yorpena kondone tusamena teu da soana questa sul ketena napa yute yordo
oh the
So, as I quoted earlier, the teaching of the Buddha has gained special new interest and attention from people in the countries where the Buddhism has not spread before, and also where it has spread but declined. So people from around the world, east, west, north and south, there are people who are taking interest in the teaching of the Buddha, and they appreciate and admire the teaching for its teaching of peace. So here we have quite a number of monastics. In one of the scriptures, Vinaya, the monastic code of discipline, it is said that the monks and nuns should not just be satisfied with their robes, wearing the robes, but they must study, reflect and meditate, and also combine single-pointed concentration and insight, so that while wearing the robes, monastic robes, that they are able to integrate the teaching of love, compassion, and the teaching of bodhicitta and emptiness. If they could do this, their upholding the monastic robes becomes worthy, and they would be a pride to the teaching of the Buddha. So, on the other hand, if the monastics wear the robes but become disgrace to the teaching, it's not good for the teaching of the Buddha. So I would like to appeal to the monastics to keep this in mind, to be careful about their behavior.
Jami Rashina tene nampeso tata tari nyote no so komani te samsuruchi jao tena nampeso to jala sacha so chir same jao tena na chanspa tam tene karu ke tena sangye te suwe tene son so ko sabu so ko ye te wo shatkan na janpan ma ko ye shatkan bi jal te tene te mi muni ke tena nampeso ko la ma thaso chwa no so te bi jal te dasa te untar te no so Tasayika Yindu Bamako Yu Kedu Sumara Yejana Sanja de Sananda Nam Tena Tene Sabasume Tene Yamle Buddha Kusano Teo Sherpa Tam Jogum Jatgondam Jogun Niska Zungeli Gona, Tevutene Gijara Nyamlen Dargo Sanosa, Tena Namjin La, Teniketena, Tene Nyamlen Darkur Buketena, Livune Tomna, Tenema, Zenu Yukanji, Tarmus Kecha, Say, Tenuti Natani Gona, Gijara Say Nyamlen Dargo Sanosa. Yo Mena, Tene Migula Tene, Tarmus Kecha, Tenuti Tene, Stolan Tene, Dargo Samano also. Sombasanara, Tenegijana, Jindulpa, to Tuxema Bora, Soha, Sange de Choto, Jatgondam, Jogun Niska, Zunde, Zate, Tene, Tabasu, Yamle, the Tene, Juko Sano, Somara, there was Kundune Tene, Jindulpa Haja. That's Kundune, there was Somata, Tene. 이 지갑을 켤때는 상계의 숨을 때는 지갑을 켤때는 잔파당 때는 잔파의 삼바보로 대부분 때는 용자들이 맞고 사노.
So So we are all Tibetans, and the people of the Himalayan belt are the ones who recite the six-syllable mantra of Avalokiteshvara and praying to Avalokiteshvara. So the practice of compassionate mind, in order to cause it not to decline but to be successful in its practice, we need wisdom, and therefore we need to pray to Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. As this one verse praised of Manjushri says, I pay homage to Manjushri, who has a youthful demeanor and whose wisdom light dispels the darkness of ignorance. So in order to understand the teaching, you should use your wisdom, intelligence to see the truth and reality of things, and that should in turn help you to develop compassion. And with the compassion and wisdom combined, you eventually reach this state of Buddhahood. Therefore, it is very important to use our intelligence to see the reality and truth of things. So the verse praise of Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom, is I pay homage to Sri Manju Ghosh, who bears a youthful form and is adorned with the lamp of wisdom that dispels this darkness of the triple world. So now, the praise to Manjushri. In order to develop your wisdom and intelligence further and further, so that you are able to clarify all your doubts, ignorance, and understanding. The praise is homage to the Lama and protector Venerable Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scripture symbolic of his seeing all as it is, whose pure genius shines like the sun unclouded by the two obscurations, who, with compassion like a father for his only child, teaches with 60-fold eloquence. All beings imprisoned in cyclic existence, groping in the darkness of ignorance and overwhelmed by suffering, you whose thunder-like proclamation of perfection of wisdom arouses us from the stupor of our afflictions and frees us from the iron chains of karma, who wields wisdom's sword vanquishing the darkness of ignorance, hewing down our every sprout of suffering, you who are primordially pure, gone to the end of 10, please repeat this mantra after me. Om Arapacha Nadi. This is Manjushri mantra. Om Arapacha Nadi. Om Arapacha Nadi. And let us recite it. Let us recite it one round of mala. And particularly to the students and the young people, if you can recite this Arapachana mantra of Manjushri, it will help you to have a good intelligence, increase your intelligence. So when I was a child, small child, in Kumbum, there was a reliquary, and maybe I was about 2 or 3 at that time, and I saw in that temple little children, monks, reciting this mantra. And I wasn't reciting the mantra myself. I didn't have much feeling at that time, understanding about this. But Arapachana mantra of Manjushri helps you to increase your intelligence so that you will understand what you have not understood before, and you'll be able to eliminate your misconceptions about reality and also doubt about reality and truth. So it will help your wisdom. So let us recite this together for one round of mala. So let us recite this mantra. This is the verse prayer, one verse prayer to Manjushri. So with this salutation to Manjushri, please recite, let us recite the mantra Arapachana Nadi. Om Arapachana Nadi, 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 Om Arapachana Nadi. Om Arapachana Nadi, 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 Om Arapachana Nadi. Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi. Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi. Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi. Om Arapachana Nadi, 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 Om Arapachana. Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi, Om Arapachana Nadi. Arapachana Nadi, Om 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 Om Arapachana Nadi, 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 Om Arapachana Nadi Marabazana deo 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 marabazana With the brilliance of your wisdom, O compassion, illuminate the darkness of my mind's confusion. Grant me the light of self-assured intelligence, and that I may see into the Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. So with the brilliance of your wisdom, O compassionate one, illuminate the darkness of my mind's confusion and grant me the light of self-assured intelligence that I may see into the Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. So everyone, monastics and lay people, young and old, and particularly the school children and those who are attending schools and institutions, learning institutions. If you can recite this mantra daily, it will really make a difference in your understanding the teachings, the different subjects. So, even though you may have a very great intelligence to see reality and understand things, but if you don't have compassion, your intelligence may be used in an unconstructive way to cause trouble to others. So while praying to Manjushri, the wisdom Buddha, you should also have compassion to sentient beings. Regarding myself, as soon as I wake up, I make this prayer, which says, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Next is the teaching on the 8 verses on mind training. With a wish to achieve the highest aim, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem for the benefit of all sentient beings, may I hold them dear at all times, whenever I interact with others. May I view myself as the lowest among all, and from the depth of my heart hold others as superior. In all my activities may I probe my mind, and as soon as afflictions arise, since it endangers myself and others, may I confront it directly and avert it. When I encounter beings of unpleasant character, and those are oppressed by intense negativity and suffering, as though finding a treasure of precious jewels, may I cherish them, for they are so rare to find. When others, out of jealousy, treat me wrongly with abuse and slander, may I take upon myself the defeat and to others the victory. Even if someone I have helped or in whom I have placed great hope gravely mistreat me in hurtful ways, may I view him as my sublime teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly, and may I quietly or secretly take upon myself all the hurts and pains of my mothers. May all of this remain unsullied by the stains of the eight worldly concerns, and by understanding all things as illusion, free of clinging, may I be released from the bondage. So Geshe Langri Thangpa, the author of this, was the author of this text. It's a great text, and I recite it daily, and it's very helpful. So, based on this text, you can reflect on bodhicitta on the one hand, which is the method side of the practice, method aspect of the practice of the Buddha Dharma, and then also the view of emptiness, which is the wisdom aspect. And so through the combination of these two, bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness, you will be able to tread along the path to enlightenment, the path comprising the fivefold path, culminating in Buddhahood. So treading through the path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, and path of meditation, and then finally you reach the Buddhahood. And so with these two principles of wisdom and method, you'll be able to attain the two bodies of the Buddha, which are known as the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, the physical dimension and the wisdom or the Dharmakaya dimension of the Buddha, so that you will be able to serve all sentient beings across the expanse of space effortlessly. As the prayer says, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the misery of the world. And so, with your wisdom, you should be alert of things and reality and truth, not only for one lifetime, but throughout your lifetimes, so that while you are on the trainee level path, on the path of accumulation, preparation, and so forth, I also hope to reach the path of preparation, and I'm dedicated and determined to serve all sentient beings until the space comes to an end. So with this, as organized by the Lamdon Model Senior School, we have gathered here, and I've been able to give an introduction to the teaching of the Buddha based on the 8 verses by Langri Thangpa, and also the Kangloma praise to Manjushri. So regarding these 2 texts, I have given you an explanatory transmission. So in any case, we are all followers of the Buddha, Shakyamuni, and therefore we must accord our behavior in thought, words, and deeds with the teaching of the Buddha, and not be a disgrace to the Buddha. So I was in stock at the great Buddha statue. I made my prayer there. So I also made the determination that I will not be a disgrace to the Buddha and the teaching of the Buddha, but I will follow the teaching as best as I can in accordance with the intention of the Buddha. So, of course, I do respect all religions of the world because all of them teach love and compassion. But Buddhism, particularly from philosophical perspective, it has a very profound and vast teaching. So my Muslim friends also may be able to learn about compassion that is taught in the Buddha Dharma. They may pay attention to this while keeping their faith in Allah. They may learn from the teaching of the Buddha about compassion and bodhicitta. The Muslims in Tibet in the past attended all the government ceremonies and festivals. So they were treated like they lived like other Tibetans. So the Tibetan government would always invite the Muslim brothers and sisters to the government functions without any discrimination. So all of us, including the Muslim friends, we are all following the same message, which is love and compassion that are taught in our respective religions. So we should not make discrimination. We should not discriminate others on the basis of religion, but be harmonious. We have a sense of camaraderie.
자주기 샘제간나 때우속에 갑자기 레나냐나 때네 다때 알라 사사요 간노 동데라 때네 때냐나 반독천노 용냐자로 소마라가 송바상나라 스코드니 저 상마라 때네 다 제가 그라도 때다 돼서 제가 때 판매게 때나 때네 장패 거라자도 인제 거라자도 정말 잘하고 소마다 직당 지기간에 때네 합자 상포를 자려나 렘나 잘하고 남패 처때나 게때나 때부터 자파상 이게 되고 맨바 때네 게때나 스타파 조냐자세 스타파 조냐자세 상수도 게다 타고 게때나 남패 처때나 마 상태 냐데 이소때 때부치제 렌데 합자디 지지가 때 렌냐나 때네마 파톡마 제노로잖아서 때네 고도니 때네 이가 람도 소페 때네 다리 가면 남닐라 때네 예자나 때네 고도니 합자 살아자 때나 소가 고도니 자벨랑메 자노나자 때네 람당 시갸데 때네 아주 샤르나자 때네 때나 남닐라 주자상 양lên 쪼쪼고사노 Sonde san truchasi tene mata Allah tuchogo sama o semina jura yonchate bhaja sampo bega dur kochate tene thapse chogo sa khapsani no tove che so
I'd also like to say this. So in the beginning, in 19, we set up, we founded the Tibetan school in Missouri, and then there were other schools also which had religious instructors, and the teachers were Geshis or Lamas. But then later I thought that using the term religious instructor or religious teacher is not so good, but it should be changed to philosophy teacher or instructor, because religious instructor seems to give a very narrow scope in our mind. But with the term philosophy, we can see the broadness in our thinking. Therefore, I changed the name to philosophy teacher. And then I also urged the nuns to study philosophy through dialectical debate, and therefore today we have nuns who have become geshis. So when you understand philosophy, it will help you to also use your intelligence and your wisdom to see, to check the reality of things. I saw the young students debating earlier. It was very good. So this tradition of debate in the Tibetan tradition was started by Chapa Chögyal Sengye. So since it was founded by him, if I could be quite audacious and say this, perhaps if I debate with Master Nagarjuna in debate, where he would be defending his position and I would be challenger, perhaps we could make him scratch his head at some point, not being able to answer the questions. So, as someone who is very proficient in debate, there's a saying that in Tibetan tradition that if you can actually try to rationalize in your debate and say something that is not true to be true and something that is true to be untrue, then you are said to be proficient in debate. So this dialectical debate and reasoning is not only to be used in religious or philosophical subject, but we can use it in any other subject. So I really appreciate the students who debated earlier. So you should pay more attention to this dialectical debate and familiarize yourself with it. It would be good. So that's all for today. So the Lamdon Model School have organized. So the Lamdon School is now 50 years old. So I would like to greet all the staff and students of Lamdon, and the past staff and students have really made a great contribution, and I would like to thank them. And the current members of Lamdon Model Senior Secondary School are also dedicated in your works. So we are talking about using intelligence and examining the things around us. So So regarding the teaching of the Buddha, it is not only for we are not only talking about preserving it for 1 or 2 years or 1 or 2 generations, but for hundreds of years, for many generations to come. So everyone should work hard. So today's program was organized by Lamdon Model School. So on this 50th founding anniversary, I wish you Tashi Delek and thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Holiness.
Thank you, Your Holiness, for illuminating us with your valuable words of wisdom. It would be a lifelong lesson.